I will call the Caroline County Board of Supervisors meeting to order. Board members present are Mr. Floyd Thomas of the Mattaponi District, Mr. Jeff Black, Western Caroline, Mr. Reggie Underwood of Reedy Church, Mr. Wayne Akers of Madison, Mr. Jeff Seeley of Bowling Green, and I'm Calvin Taylor representing the Port Royal District. Let's stand for invocation. Mr. Thomas.
You stand with me, please, and pray. Dear Father God, we come before you this day as humbly as we know how. We come before you with bowed heads, closed eyes, and open hearts, asking for your blessings of your love. Dear Father God, as you've said, where two or more gathered in your name, you will be there also. So in your name, we ask you to guide us, strengthen us, give us wisdom to make the decisions that help the county, protect and serve the county, and in all things we ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, are there any amendments to the agenda as presented?
No, sir, Mr. Chairman, we don't have any amendments.
Okay, then the agenda will stand approved as presented. Opening board comments. Mr. Thomas.
Surprisingly, I don't have any. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Black.
I'll make up for Mr. Thomas. I have four. The first thing I'd like to say is the polar bear plunge that is done by Wright's Chapel, sponsored by Wright's Chapel and St. Mary's Catholic Church. That is February 7th at 11 o'clock in Lake Landor. So we welcome everyone who is willing to attend. It's always a good time, and they do a great job raising charity money for the food bank as well as people who can't afford to heat their homes. Secondly, I will be having a constituent meeting on Thursday, February 19th at 6 o'clock at County Line Baptist Church, followed by another one at 7:30 the same day inside the Heritage Clubhouse in Lake Landor. Congressman Rob Whitman, Delegate Buddy Fowler, and myself will be there to answer questions regarding national, state, and local issues. The third thing, and I guess it's more of a question, is we're going to be discussing later on tonight the proffers for Ladysmith Village, and I don't know if Mr. Fincham or, but as you drive around Ladysmith, there's behind the bank as well as behind the YMCA, there are huge mounds of dirt that are piled up from the construction, and I guess Mr. Fincham is, Mr. Fincham. I guess my concern is that I don't know if that's consistent with the Ladysmith sub-area plan. I don't think it, if we're talking about aesthetics, I think that we need to check into that as a county to allowing that to happen, especially if we've got future projects coming into the county in that area. If there's a possibility of that, I'm not sure that that should be allowed. So I don't know if there's something we can take a look at, because they are an eyesore. And the final thing is, it's not, I guess it's part of the budget now. We are paying the YMCA payment this month, correct? Coming up? Yeah. And now part of the budget. How much did we get to contribute to that payment?
This year we had received $25,000.
So we have $25,000 for this coming payment.
We received $25,000 for the total this year for both payments, but we budgeted that we were going to receive about 70.
Okay, thank you.
But that was an estimate, so I mean but the whole payment is budgeted into the county budget.
So we received $25,000 so far. Thank you.
Mr. Underwood.
Mr. Chairman, I have no comments at this time.
Okay. Mr. Akers.
I just wanted ask Mr. Cully, he needs to call Bonnie Raleigh and see what has come in, if any has come in for the payment.
Is that all, Mr. Akins? Mr. Sealy?
I guess I have two comments. First, I attended the Bowling Green Fire Station's annual dinner and awards, and I will say that 5 of the firefighters, and I don't have their names with me, actually got an award from Colonial Beach, or a letter of appreciation for responding to the high school fire. I didn't realize that we'd sent folks, but the appreciation was greatly noted at their banquet. It was a great time. A lot of folks showed up, old and new. We had one new life member. Jason Satterwhite is now a life member of Bowling Green. I think that's kind of exciting that somebody who is still active and participating got a Lifetime Achievement Award for Bowling Green. And my other comment is, if we've budgeted 70, that means that we only budgeted 130,000 in the budget for the YMCA. And I thought that the fundraising committee would have come tonight to at least tell us where they were in the scheme of things for fundraising, but I guess they're not coming?
I mean, we haven't invited them.
Yeah, they're not on the agenda.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Thomas, you said you did have a...
I did. I just wanted to remind folks that I'm doing a constituent meeting Thursday at 7 o'clock at the Visitor Center. I'm going to talk about the budget coming and some projects around the county. So thank you for coming back to me, Mr. Town.
Okay, thank you. And I just have a couple of... I'd like to congratulate the Port Royal Fire Department on their recognition or awards night, which was this past Saturday. Was very good. Awarded some of the volunteers and showed appreciation for the great jobs that they're doing. And I would also like to add that on this coming Saturday, from 9 to 1 here in the Community Services Center building, some of the religious leaders, along with some of our law enforcement, are doing a workshop type of activity that deals with, I believe, bringing together the community and law enforcement and talking about what can be done to help to strengthen a positive relationship. That workshop type event is being held, as I said, on the 31st, which is this coming Saturday, from 9 to 12 here at the Community Center. And they're just asking as many people as can to come out and witness and be a part of this program. Okay. Having said that, that takes us to presentations and reports. I believe the first one we have is a report on Stop the Violence Movement. Mr. Gary Taylor, if you would come forth, please.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Chairman of the Board, board members. How are y'all today?
Fine, thank you.
Good. I'm here to present on an event that I'm embarking on here in Caroline County called Stop the Violence Movement. Once again, my name is Gary Taylor. Most in the community know me by as Trey. I'm a part of Oxford Mount Zion Baptist Church, and I'm a president of the Young Adult Ministry. So just a little background about myself. I graduated from Caroline High School circa 2006. Chairman Taylor was actually my middle school principal back when I was in middle school. I don't know if he remembers me now. I have a lot more hair, more facial features now. But I have a bachelor's degree in psychology, and I will be taking my master's in social work in May 2015. So, and that's concentration in social policy, social change, which deals with advocacy and community building as well. In my background, I've worked with at-risk youth, mental health, and I want to get more involved with community engagement and community policies and programs. So with this report and presentation, this will be presenting to you guys about some statistics, some data going on about gang violence, teen violence, what this event is about, what it's going to promote, and what we'll be doing in the event. Okay? So what types of violence will we be actually working to prevent? It's gang violence and teen violence. Through the past couple months in 2014, there's been an influx of gang violence in the area, in the community of Caroline County. One would think that in a rural area such as Caroline, we wouldn't have any type of gang violence or these type of things going on. When I first heard of the news, I was very, perturbed as far as we have gang violence in Caroline. How? It's not a lot of things there to do here, but if you look at what happens, how gangs are formed, you can kind of see as to why. So the federal definition of a gang, and I'm not really going to go through the whole thing, but basically it states that it's an association of 3 or more individuals whose members collectively identify themselves by adopting a group identity, which they use to create an atmosphere or a fear of intimidation, frequently by employing one or more of the following: a common name, slogan, identifying sign, symbol, tattoo, or other physical marking, style or color of clothing, hairstyle, hand sign, and graffiti. Technically, by the first 2 terminologies, you guys could be defined as a gang, technically. Right. So we have to be careful how we, label different groups as a gang, because just by these 2 little statements, anybody can be considered a gang. But I wanted to give you the actual definition of a gang by the federal standpoint, just so you understand what the federal level is actually defining a gang as. So that's a gang. The next slide is going to show what is a youth gang. Now, a youth gang is defined as the group that has 3 or more members, generally aged from 12 to 24. These members share an identity, typically linked to a name and often other symbols. Members view themselves as a gang, and they are recognized by others as a gang. They have some permanence and degree of organization, and the group is involved in an elevated level of criminal activity. With gang violence, usually you have drugs, you usually have your regular violence, and those things of that nature. So whenever you're talking about a gang, you're talking about an influx or increase in drug trafficking, influx in violence, wherever it may be, homicide, sometimes suicide, but more so homicidal things of that nature. So that's what happens when you have a gang. The things that, you ask the question, why do individuals or young, well, in this standpoint, youth, join gangs? And from a social work perspective, we look at it from a holistic perspective as far as what is the child experiencing at the time. So usually, typically, youth join gangs for that support, for that family member support. They may be lacking in the household. They may not have a father figure. They may not have a mother figure. But they're looking for that general support, family unit, family connection, and camaraderie. Some may join just because it's just the thing to do. Some may argue that in the rural area, they may be joining because there are not a lot of things to do in Caroline County. Speaking of which, where I grew up in this county and I'm still residing here, we don't have as much to offer as, say, a Richmond City or Fredericksburg City Schools. However, that does not make us, obsolete. It just makes us different compared to the surrounding counties. But there could be one reason why youth would join the gang, but I'm not saying it's a primary reason. Okay. So this is some data statistics for you guys. This is gang membership by age from that time of 96 to 2011. And as you can see in 2000, it kind of has a little, it goes up, it goes a little bit down, goes up, goes a little down. But the blue indicates juveniles under 18, and then the red indicates 18 or over. So about 35% in 2011 were juveniles that was involved in gang membership. And in 2008, you see it as a little bit above 41%. That's just nationwide statistics. I haven't did extensive research in the Virginia area because frankly, if I wanted to do a research data statistic about gang membership, this would be a way longer presentation, guys. So this is just one statistic of it. Areas of membership. Now here, this is a very interesting statistic. You have your larger cities, suburban cities, smaller cities, rural counties. Which one is the highest up there for rural counties? African Americans. Gang membership in rural areas is among the highest percentage. And it really baffles me. for African Americans, you can see. Latinos is higher in larger cities, but we have a Latino population about, 5%, I believe, here in Carolina. And so that's why it's 24%. Then you have a white, 14.9%. Smaller cities, 20.3%, Latinos, 53.8%, 14.6% for white. So your biggest gang culture involves minorities, but I'm not leaving out Caucasians as well, because they still could be involved in gangs as well. Carolina is unique because it's a rural area surrounded by different urban areas. So Northern Virginia is primarily urban, but gangs such as MS-13s have made an increase in Northern Virginia areas. So then you have Northern Virginia, then you have Fredericksburg, then you have Carolina, then you have Richmond. When I was studying in psychology, they showed that homeless people, Fredericksburg is like the gateway, the stop, the midpoint for people traveling from D.C. to Richmond. So I put two and two together and said, well, if a gang member is coming from Northern Virginia and they want to escape from where they were at, why would they not? Would they go to Fredericksburg? Would they go to Spotsylvania? Or would they go somewhere remote where they could not be found? So Carolina's pretty remote, and I don't know who all are from Carolina, but I think most of you are from Carolina. You could pretty much hide yourself in Carolina if need be. So if that's the case, then this statistic, 56.8%, 24.8% people or minorities are in gang membership in rural counties. If the gang membership is creeping downward south, then that would show why we have more gang membership here in Carolina. And it's very scary to me because Northern Virginia is nothing but 30, 40 minutes away. It's nothing but a ride away. And if you have that influx of MS-13s, which then you have Bloods, then you have Crips, then you have Gangster Disciples, then you have Latino Kings, all those groups, and then you have Hell's Angels, that becomes recruiting. Then that becomes more powerful. Then that becomes more individuals, more youth being lost to their actual gang membership instead of doing what they have to be doing in school or going to college, those things of that nature. So here's some Carolina data and statistics as I did my little research about it. And me and research have a love-hate relationship, but every day I'm researching something. It's kind of part of my protocol as a social worker to be. But Carolina high school student body is about 1,500 students, according to the school website. Now, I looked at the actual, the Department of Education, and the last statistic that they had was like 1,100. I'm not sure. The numbers may be different. Maybe we need to contact Mr. Wick, see what's going on there. But it says 1,500 of the kids are in Carolina high school. Now, I'm looking at the population between 12 to 18. That's the population age I'm working with now. So, according to the sheriff's office, 230 juvenile arrests were made in December. And I seen somebody, oh, he must be stepped out. I wanted to make sure that was correct, but that was what I found on their website for December, not including November, October, or September. 230 juvenile arrests have been made. I'm assuming that's 12 to 17, 12 to 18. So it's about 15% of the school population was arrested in the month of December, if you want to look at it in that perspective. Little under a whole entire grade. If you look at the grade population, 9th through 12th, the 10th and 11th graders usually average out between 200 to 250. So about a whole grade got arrested in December. Oh, yes.
Major Mosers out there. I'm not sure that statistic's not for the whole year.
How you doing? Yes. Right. This statistic here for December, for 230 juvenile arrests.
Is that from your yearly report? Do you need to arrest 230 juveniles in the month of December?
No.
No. So that's the whole year?
I would have to check those numbers, but it's absolutely not for the month of December.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he gives a yearly report on arrests, and I think that's the whole year.
That's the whole year?
I'll pull it up here in a second.
Okay. Thank you for that. I wanted to verify that, definitely, because I'm about to say, because that's a lot. But, yes, so individuals under the age of 18 that reside in Caroline County is about 23.4%. 6,855 people. That's according to the U.S. Census Bureau. Please confirm that number if I'm wrong. But that's the population we're working with under the age of 18 in Caroline County. And it's important that we understand that if we don't reach these children or teenagers at the age under 18, that they can be more likely to end up in the system later on or unsuccessful after 18. It's easier to catch them under 18 than to catch them under 21 to stop those things. And we talk about a lot in social work. If an individual comes in from a mental health perspective, if an individual comes in at 25 years of age with a mental health problem, and he talks about his upbringing and what happened, and then we go back and say, what's the root of the problem, why are they here today? And we found out that something happened at 15 that transformed their life and they went the way they did. That's a time where we could have intervened at 15 years old to stop that cycle by the time they got to 25 years old. And I'm a big person looking at the root of the problem and the holistic perspective because that's how I'm trained to actually attack problems in the community and attack problems with individuals. We have to start young at age to alleviate the other issues. So what is the purpose of this event? This event will bring unity, advocacy, education, deterrence, partnerships, community engagement. When I say unity, I mean the whole community coming together to bring awareness to this issue that's going on and that we bond together so that we can tackle the issue together. It's not just on the law enforcement. It's not just on the school systems. It's not just on the churches, not just on the local community leaders. It's about everybody together coming to one bond to actually alleviate said issue. Because if not, then somebody will be burnt out. I'm pretty sure law enforcement, all that they do, could aid in having some assistance with it. I'm pretty sure that their school systems, with the different programs that they have in place right now, could need some assistance from the community. It's a common bond, and you see as the circles gel together for one common bond. So partnerships include working with you guys, working with the school board, working with different local businesses because it affects the different population economic growth here in Caroline, in which I want to see grow, and I know you guys want to see grow and stuff like that. So these are the main purposes of the event. Community partners, like I talked about, law enforcement, local churches, local businesses, board of county supervisors, that's you guys, schools, groups against violence, teen gangs, etc., and Department of Social Services, because they play a role in this as well. They deal with at-risk youth, and they can help from their local government perspective, just as much as you guys can as well. So the events that we will have here at the Stop the Violence event is we'll have musical guests, different gospel artists, different spoken word people, different performers of that nature from different local churches, stuff like that. Guest speakers, and when I say guest speakers who can relate to the issue of teen violence and gang violence. We're looking into bringing in an individual who lost their child to teen violence or gang violence, and that brings in the parent perspective. We're hoping to bring in a pastor that used to be into gangs, so he can speak to the youth and tell them how they got out of the gang violence and got to where he was at. Guest speakers like that is going to resonate more because it's relatable. I'm a really big person on being relatable to that person, building rapport with that person. If I can relate to you, I'm more likely to listen to you. Car and bike show, and it should be more so a car and bike meet because it won't be a show. It's just more so everybody come out, support. This is what we're trying to do. I know we have a big car following here in Caroline. I own a small car customization business here in Caroline, so just having that aspect there as well. 3-on-3 basketball tournament, those things help with to keep people out of trouble playing basketball, and Caroline's a big basketball county, and I love basketball as well. The sneaker booth, and you might be wondering what I'm talking about right there, sneaker booth. We all know about Jordans and different Nikes and stuff like that, but what I'm trying to do with the sneaker booth is basically a little consignment thing where it's you can come in, show your shoes off, come in, you can trade, buy, sell. This type of thing right here, the sneaker piece is basically it's something that can relate to the youth, because they're all big about shoes. They're all big about kicks, you know, and that's something that can relate, that can bring them in to say, hey, this is what we're doing. You can set up here, you can do this, and have a good time. Now, wondering why I have all those three incorporated into this event, these are things that me and my friends have done to stay away from gang violence or violence in general. Whether it be working on cars, messing with our cars every day, whether it be playing basketball 7 days a week, and also just having a hobby of collecting shoes. Those are the things that kept us out of trouble. And there's a bunch of other things. We have parents, we have different, you know, parents, different family members, friends that kept us out. But like, these are just one of the three elements. And these three elements are also able for the youth now to relate to, so that they can see what's going on and say, here, there's a different avenue for you guys to go through. Also a clothing drive, just in case anybody needs any clothing, and a children corner for the little kids to work with. So some of the goals are to bring awareness to gang violence in our community, to help unify the county so that we can tackle the issue together, to show the youth that there are other options besides gang membership, and lastly, to make sure we spread the gospel of Christ to our youth. I mean, at the end of the day, that's the biggest thing. We want to make sure that these children are saved and they know Jesus. But, you know, hey, we can do those things we can be still saved by Jesus and be in the cars, play basketball, have nice sneakers and stuff like that, you know. But all at the end of the day is turn us from gang violence. Something that can move us from gang violence and just to stay out of trouble, and so that we can have successful teenagers outside of what's going on right now. So, I guess you guys are wondering what's your role, what you want you guys to do. Basically, guys, I'm not here to, you know, hey, I need money, I need donations. No, because I understand there's a budget going on. I understand local government. I understand that, you know, state government and what's going on. Basically, I would like for you guys just to show up and speak to individuals in their crowd just so they can see your face. Most youth, most teenagers don't know who you guys are. They don't know what you do, you know. So if you come out now when they're younger, maybe that can deter them later. And, you know, and then the parents will be there too. So then parents can talk to you, say what's going on in their community, in their household. If the whole community is not together working on this issue, it's never going to be resolved. And it's going to continue to be a problem. And I know we want in Caroline to grow our community, expand our community. I want to see the community expanded. When y'all put the advanced auto parts there in Ladysmith, that was like one of the biggest things for me, because I always had to go to Fredericksburg to get auto parts. You know, when y'all put the YMCA in the county for me, I was glad because I needed a gym to play basketball. I had to go to Fredericksburg. I had to always go to Fredericksburg or Richmond to do anything sports related outside of playing for the high school. You know, and I see the growth. I see what you guys are trying to do. But I'm glad that you are doing it, and I would love to be on that to help you guys fulfill and push Caroline as much as what y'all are trying to do right now. But like I said, I would like to have you guys there and just to be out there and enjoy the events, enjoy what's going on, speak to a couple kids there, a couple parents there. The parents would love to see you guys there, and just be you guys. I mean, you don't have to be behind the desk. Just be out there, come out there, and have fun, and, you know, do what you need to do. So the event will be on April 11th. Rain date will be April 18th, probably. I'll probably come back before then just to give you guys an update what's going on, because it's a continuing process. But yeah, like I said, it's a great thing to try to help these teenagers. I'm very passionate about helping my community. I'm very passionate about helping Caroline. I wanted to move away. I wanted to move to another state to do my social work, you know, to do those things. But some told me that I needed to stay here to help my community, to help the teenagers. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm pretty sure down the road in the future, this won't be the last time you guys see me. talking to you guys. So that's basically it. That's the logistics, the April 11th, 2015 rain date. It's going to be Oxford Mount Zion, the field across from Oxford Mount Zion. I'll be doing a real big social media push mid-February. And like I said, everybody working together to achieve one common goal, it'll be easy. People start staring off or doing their own thing, it's not going to work. But everybody all together, the Board of County Supervisors, the community, the law enforcement, the schools, the parents, the churches, the local businesses, everybody together, we can tackle the issue, and the issue will be done. So here's my contact information. I'm always available by cell or email. Likely I'm in my last semester of school, but I'll contact you right back if you have any questions. But yeah, that's about it, guys. Any questions?
Mr. Taylor, let me just say before I ask the board members if they have questions, let me just thank you for coming before the board and for using your expertise to try and work with a very serious situation, a very important issue. So I thank you for being here, and I certainly wish you the best in what you're trying to do. I certainly cannot speak for the board. I mean, this is an individual thing. We are a board, but I assure you that I will be there, and I will do personally what I can do. I had 33 years in education as an educator and an administrator, and I saw a lot of things during my tenure, and it's a very serious problem. And hopefully, with people like you, and certainly people like those of us, and certainly people who are here now, we can come together and try to tackle this, this issue. I just had one question. What's the time period? You said the 18th, but you didn't.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. The date of the event is April 11th.
April 11th.
And the rain date will be the 18th.
Okay, but what time does it start?
Oh, 12 p.m.
Okay.
12 p.m. to 6 p.m.
12 to 6. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Having said that, the board members have questions or concerns, or Mr. Thomas?
Mr. Taylor, first of all, Mr. Taylor, first of all, I really do commend you on this. It's a great thing. There's a couple of things, though. It's not necessarily having nothing to do that makes you become a gang member. One of my best friends in college, 40 years ago, was a gang member from Chicago. Yeah. He had everything he could do in Chicago, but still became a gang member, but luckily got out of that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's part of it. And the other thing in your research is the correlation between being involved in the judicial system and then becoming a gang member. I think a lot of that happens when you become involved in the judicial system.
Yeah.
So I know you're going to do a lot of things. I think one of the things that I'm going to show, I gave Mr. Fincher my card to make sure he gave to you.
Okay.
But one of the things we need to do is make sure we keep them away from the judicial system.
Exactly.
Make sure Major Mosier is bored as can be, and that'll help us reduce the things. But
definitely,
whatever I can do to help, I'll be happy to do it.
Definitely. Thank you.
Mr. Black?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Mr. Underwood?
No comments this time, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Akers? Mr. Sealy?
Yes, I attended with Mr. Thomas a gang violence. There's a group of ministers, and they're organizing an organization to try to also work through this with the Commonwealth Attorney. And I'm just curious if you've caught up with Tony Spencer or Reverend Clinkscales or Pastor Behrman
St. John's.
at St. John's, who are all working sort of in the same venue, and they've been working on this for about 6 months.
Okay.
I hate to see everybody go in separate directions also. I think it'd be great if you could catch up with them.
Yeah.
They've been moving down the road. They have folks that are actually coming. They're meeting fairly regularly, probably once every other month. I'm sure you know Reverend Clinkscales or Reverend Behrman, but I would highly recommend you catch up with them and foster that relationship, because I think they'll help you go a long ways. But I do support what you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. And again, I made an announcement at the beginning about some of the religious leaders in the community and the law enforcement being here in a workshop type of issue or situation here on Saturday from 9 to 12. I'm not sure just who, well, I think Reverend Kay is I think maybe in charge of it, but certainly that's maybe an avenue for you to touch base with as well.
Yeah.
Certainly the more people and the more groups that we have addressing this issue, the better it is.
Definitely.
So thank you very much, and we appreciate you being here.
All right. Thank you for your time. I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that takes us to our next presentation, which is a report on events marking the 150th anniversary of the capture of Lincoln's assassin. Ms. Beard, Ms. Kathy Beard, are you here? Oh,
Snuck up.
okay, Ms. Beard.
Thank you. Good evening, members of the Board of Supervisors and county staff. Certainly do appreciate the opportunity to come before you again and talk about this very exciting week that we're going to be having in April of this year. It goes without saying that certainly to have the garden tour here in Caroline County on the 21st of April is a wonderful opportunity for the county, and that will be on Tuesday. The event I want to talk to you about this evening takes place 3 days after that, and will continue to capitalize and keep Caroline County involved, in the news and press and things that are going on. And that certainly is the 150th sesquicentennial commemoration of the capture of John Wilkes Booth. The county's project really has two goals, and the goals of this project is to showcase our historic offerings, our historic towns, and local business base of the entire county. Additionally, we would like to be able to reinvest the proceeds of this project back into the American History Museum in Port Royal, as well as the Sidney E. King Art Center in Bowling Green. So the whole project, as I said, begins with the garden tour. There are 5 historic properties in Caroline County, 3 along Route 17, the other 2 are in Port Royal. So a lot of activity and a lot of energy will be taking place in Port Royal on that Tuesday. By Friday, we are actually into the commemoration of when John Wilkes Booth came across the river and arrived not only in King George, but was making his way to Caroline County. So, Port Royal is going to be very, very busy. Not only is the American History Museum going to be available, but certainly the Portrait Gallery, the doctor's office, the Historic School will be available. There is a potential of additional Surratt Foundation bus tours both on Friday and that Saturday, as well as the town of Port Royal is considering their own events to be taking place along their town square. So we're very much looking forward to those particular days in Port Royal. Additionally, there will be the reset and dedication of the new booth marker that actually was done by the Department of Historic Resources, and they anticipate doing that dedication also that weekend and having the ceremony in Port Royal at the American History Museum. In Bowling Green that very same weekend, that's the annual Festival of Feet. So the town will be very, very busy in the morning and then resetting for the activities in the afternoon. Certainly bus tours, certainly both the Art Center as well as the other cultural museum to be open, we hope. And the Bowling Green will be getting ready to host the finale event on that Sunday for the Lunch with Lincoln. At the Visitor Center on Friday, April 25th, that will be the Caroline County School Day for the History Mobile. The History Mobile will actually arrive the night before and begin setting up, and we've received confirmation that there will be 14 different 4th grade classes from the Caroline County school system that will be at the Visitor Center between 9:30 and 2:30. So that's approximately 350 children that will be going through the facility. By Friday evening, we're into the overview of the Civil War, as well as a ceremony opening up the History Mobile for the following Saturday when it's open to the public. On that Saturday morning, we also have developed a packaged bus tour. Now, this is a narrated bus tour that will leave the Visitor Center, travel all the way into King George, and trace the route that John Wilkes Booth did coming back into the county. So stopping at Claydale, stopping at Belgrove, coming across the river there at Port Conroy, into Port Royal, to the Garrett Farm, and then certainly, where he met his demise that day. So with the bus tour, it will be stopping in Port Royal, eating lunch in Port Royal, and then on to Bowling Green, where there will be a narrated and guided tour of the of the Art Center. One of the premier things going on is that we have a book that will be actually debuted on that Saturday night. The book is Fortune's Fool, The Life of John Wilkes Booth by Dr. Terry Alford. Now, Dr. Terry Alford is a noted historian of the PBS and History Channel fame. He typically narrates a lot of those presentations, and he has a tie to Port Royal. So he will be at the Visitor Center Saturday night, signing his book and doing a presentation about Booth. By the time we get to Sunday, we are tired of the assassin. So on Sunday at noon, or actually it'll be a little bit later than that, we will begin the Lunch with Lincoln. We have been able to engage a reenactor by the name of Michael Krebs. Michael Krebs is the official presenter for the Abraham Lincoln Presidential Library and Museum. He will be in Caroline County that weekend and will do the lunch presentation at the end of the event. So there's kind of some symmetry that the final thing that day is taking place just a couple of blocks from the former location of the Star Hotel where the whole capture sequence began. So we're looking forward to that and getting a lot of momentum for his involvement. So I guess in summing up, this is an opportunity for all local businesses to participate. Our Sassafras Shade new winery is looking at dedicating a wine label. Certainly the Rusty Beaver Brewery is looking at dedicating a couple of growlers and some things like that that will make sense, for that weekend. We are very well positioned for this project due to the traction that the garden tour is going to get, as well then now to follow up with this big Booth weekend. So with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Beard. Does board members have questions regarding the presentation, comments?
Is it $175? That's what it says, the registration fee is $175?
Yeah, well, at this particular point, that's our high-end package, as high as it's going to get. We are currently fundraising and hoping we can drop that price. But for that $175, that's the entire package. That's the bus tour, it's all the meals, it's the whole thing. There will be individual tickets available for these things as well, so you don't have to get on the bus. And we're only hoping to sell 40 tickets for that bus.
Okay. Other questions? If not, thank you, Ms. Beard. We appreciate your time, and we'll do the best we can to support you.
All right, appreciate it. Thank you.
That takes us to agenda item, the last presentation, annual report for Caroline County Agricultural Fair. Ms. Whitaker.
Hi, how are you doing?
Hi, how are you tonight?
Help me, Mr. Clark. Saw your brother last night. Boy Scouts. Where is the thing here? Good evening, gentlemen. It's certainly my pleasure to be here once again to give you the annual report on the Caroline County Agricultural Fair, and I know all of you know that I'm Fran Whitaker. I'm continuing as president of this organization, which you know we are a nonprofit 501c3 organization here in the county. We're also a member of the Virginia Association of Fairs and the International Association of Fairs and Expositions. Of course, our mission that we try to live by all the time is to encourage the understanding of agriculture history here in Caroline County and to educate about present-day agricultural business and community activities. And what we'll do tonight is just review how we did that in 2014. We had a wonderful opportunity. We have been coordinating fair judging schools in the Commonwealth in conjunction with the Virginia Cooperative Extension Services and the Virginia Association of Fairs. We're providing training for fair judges, and these attendees come not only from Virginia but Maryland as well. We have helped develop a database of